probably the biggest announcement came in August of this year, July, August, with the EU AI Act coming to be. I mean, we've been pretty much talking about it since 2021, and the fact that it has arrived is kind of a pretty big thing, right? It is the first kind of full all-encompassing AI piece of legislation. And I think that is really quite a big change or diversion, if you will, from where previously the industry had gone. And up until then, everyone was kind of, we need legislation, we need legislation. We've seen out of the US and a couple of the big names in tech all asking for a slowdown in artificial intelligence, all asking for a kind of a rethinking in terms of the potential risks around AI. And that was really towards the latter part of 2023, coming into the beginning of 2024. What is interesting is that has actually, those calls have slowed a little, just in terms of the request for legislation, if you will. And that was pretty much about the same time that the EU AI Act actually came out, which was, as I said, towards the end of July, beginning of August, or 1st of August. Um, and a lot of those advocates have kind of rolled back, because I know in California, they attempted to put out their first piece of legislation. It's gone back. But yeah, I would say that would be one of the biggest elements. The other one would be around May of 2024. ISO released 42001. So 42001 is the AI management service, management system that an organization can adopt to implement quality controls inside their organizations to ensure that their AI systems that they implement at a data layer, at an application layer, and also in terms of UX, in terms of the governance for designing, implementing, and securing AI technologies. Maybe just one other thing, just I know we'll get into 2025 in a bit, but probably the next key element, because everyone will be starting to gear up towards it, would be around the prohibited AI practices, and is coming in early 2025. So from a legislative perspective, I think everyone was starting to kind of understand that this is coming down the line. And what I've seen is that there is quite a big jump in terms of awareness around the need for ethical AI, the need for governance around AI. And we'll get into the details of exactly what I mean by governance in a bit.
I was watching a news clip from Channel 4 News in the UK a couple of days ago on YouTube, and it was an interview with the well-known actress Kate Blanchett, who was talking a little bit about the requirements around AI governance, what this means for society. The fact that the development of AI is moving very quickly. As Kate said, in her opinion, it's moving a little bit too quickly for comfort in a lot of cases. And to that end, I think there's a lot of tire kicking around what AI governance means. A lot of this, I think, will be driven eventually by regulation in different jurisdictions, such as the European Union, perhaps the US, Canada, Australia. But the reality is, there's going to be an expectation. I think a lot of different organizations and compliance departments that feel that they're going to need to be taking this into account sooner rather than later.
Yeah, and I think that it's inevitable that organizations are going to have policies and rules around how it's used. Because I think that, again, if you go back in time, then I think the CIO role within organizations was much more powerful. Now it almost feels like the head of technology provides people within the organization with a link to the outside world, almost like a fat pipe to the internet. And then the individual business lines within the business just kind of take responsibility for buying their own software or buying their own systems. Often it's just cloud-based systems. Even your most basic business software, like Microsoft 365 is just nowadays it's just a cloud-based system. So it certainly seems that companies have kind of gone down that path of pushing all of the regulation of all the software systems to the individual business managers at the expense of the CTO or the CIO. But it seems now that they really do actually have a role to play here in creating a sort of general framework for how is everybody in an organization going to use AI, and what is a safe use of AI for our business, and where could it go wrong. And there's also sort of different areas as well, such as like using AI to improve security, network security. So I think that you're going to see like where can we use this proactively within the business, but then also for areas of the business that take responsibility for their own use of technology. I think you'll have to have some sort of overarching policy around how are you using it, and how do we avoid this turning into a mess.
The need for safeguards is real because in organizations, and it doesn't matter what the sector, doesn't matter what the country, doesn't matter what the size of the business, the potential for cowboy behavior, for a Wild West atmosphere is huge with AI. And having some type of parameters around what is seen as ethical, what is seen as right versus wrong, what it should be used for, what it should not be used for, is an absolute requirement. And I think Mark will agree with me. The challenge, I believe, is going to be finding the requisite subject matter experts that will be able to take on some type of a compliance role within organizations, because we're talking literally hundreds of thousands of businesses that are going to be requiring this type of safeguard behavior. Now, it's very easy for a regulatory body, an overarching regulatory body, to designate that by 2027, for example, every business is going to need to have in place these safeguards. Well, you've got to find somebody to administrate it and to enforce it. And I think that's going to be very, very challenging. As we know, compliance departments are overwrought already with all the regulations they need to deal with. Adding on another layer of complexity, especially around a technology that is relatively nascent and we don't have a lot of understanding around where it's potentially going to go, will make it even more challenging.